Hello there! Today you guys are going to be continuing with area and perimeter, but today we're going to do two different shapes. So we're going to do trapezoids and circles, and I love trapezoids because they seem to me to be kind of like the misfit of all the shapes because they are kind of weird and different. And so I love trapezoids, and circles are actually pretty easy to find the area of. So let's start with trapezoids, and we're going to find the area and then go back and do some of the perimeter of these shapes, okay? So a trapezoid is a quadrilateral. We talked about that word yesterday. So quadrilateral has four sides, so a trapezoid has four sides. I'm just going to put a quad here. You guys will know what that means. Quadrilateral with only one pair of opposite sides that are parallel. So yesterday or the day that you did it, your parallelograms had two pairs of parallel sides, but a trapezoid, since it's the misfit, is only going to have one pair of parallel sides. So in this trapezoid, these are the sides that would be parallel to each other. These sides, if we kept them going, they would eventually intersect. So only one pair of parallel sides, and not necessarily many sides that are equal in length, okay? So the formula to find the area of this trapezoid is going to be a little bit longer than the ones yesterday. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to take the bases. There's going to be two bases of a trapezoid. You're going to add those bases together. You're going to divide it by 2, and all of that you're going to do first. And then you're going to multiply the height. And just like before, the height of your trapezoid is going to be that perpendicular height. So you're going to look for that right angle. Okay? Straight up and down. So the perpendicular distance from the base. Now the bases are going to be the sides that are parallel to each other. So this would be a base, and this would be a base. And then this is your height. Okay, so those are the things that you're going to look for in your trapezoid. So let's do some examples here. So our first trapezoid, isn't it so cute? I just love trapezoids. So you're going to look for your bases. So first of all, this would be a base, and this would be a base because those two sides are the parallel sides. And then this is going to be your height since it's the perpendicular distance. This is just here to throw us off. You don't really need that, okay? So let's plug it into your formula. So you're going to do your two bases, add those together. So 12 plus 22 divided by 2. You're going to do that first. And then you're going to multiply your height. Okay? So 12 plus 22 divided by 2 is going to give you 17. So I'm going to write it down here. 17 times 7 is going to give us 119. So 119 kilometers squared, just like yesterday, is going to be the area of this trapezoid. Alrighty, not too bad. Alright, let's look at this trapezoid. It's a monster trapezoid. So the first thing we're going to do is look for our bases. So the bases of this trapezoid would be the two parallel sides. So this one and this one are parallel. So my base 1 and base 2. And then this is going to be your height, since that's our perpendicular height. So we're going to do 10 plus 6 on the top, divided by 2. We're going to do that first, and then multiply it by the height, which was 20. So if I do 10 plus 6, I get 16 divided by 2 would give us 8. So I'm going to do 8 times 20 to get 160 inches squared as our final area. All right? Not too bad? All right, go ahead and try example number 3 on your own. You're going to look for your area of this shape. Go ahead and pause and try it. All right, so now that you've tried area of all of these shapes, what I want to do is take a second and try perimeter, and we're going to do it for example number 3. So if I'm looking for the perimeter of this trapezoid, I'm not doing area, I'm doing the distance around. So I'm going to take every single side, and I'm going to add them up. So I'm going to do it over here. So the perimeter is going to be 25 plus 19 plus 30 plus 40. So it's going to be a big one. That would give me the distance around this shape. And when you add all of those up, you're going to get the perimeter is equal to 114, not feet squared, just feet. It's the distance around. Okay, so don't forget about perimeter. All right, let's look at our second shape, which is circles. And we're going to be talking about pi. Pi, pi, me, oh my. I like pi. So pi is going to be really important for talking about circles. Pi, I know you've heard of it before, is 3.14, continuing on. And I want you guys to try and see if you can find that on your calculator. You don't really need to calculate pi. You're just going to make sure it's in your answer for all of these problems, and I'll show you why. So we need to know about pi, and then we also need to know what the word radius means. So the radius of a circle, you're going to see it shown as this. It's halfway through a circle. So the distance halfway through is known as the radius. So halfway, half the distance of a circle. And then the whole way through a circle, the whole distance, is called the diameter. So the whole distance. So you're going to be given both of those, and you guys are going to have to figure out what some of them are sometimes. So the diameter is always going to be written right smack dab in the middle. If I write a number on the side, I'm talking about the radius. So how do you think you would find halfway through the circle if you're given the diameter? Think about it for a second. You are correct. You're going to divide that diameter by 2 to get the radius. So if you need to find the radius, you're going to divide it by 2. All right? So the formula to find the area of a circle is going to be pi radius squared. Pi radius squared. Now perimeter, usually you add up all the sides to find the perimeter, but there's no sides to a circle. So there's a special formula for perimeter of a circle, and it's very similar to area. You're going to do 2 times pi times the radius. Okay, so 2 separate formulas to know for a circle. Okay, so let's practice some of that. We'll do area first and work our way back to perimeter. So our first example here, we're given the radius, which is good because that's what we need for our formula. So we're going to do pi r squared. So we're going to do pi times the radius squared. So we're going to do 3 squared, so that would give us pi times 9. And I actually prefer you guys not to calculate pi. If it makes you feel good and you want to multiply pi times 9, you're going to get a big decimal, you're going to have to do some rounding. If you're not up for that, I'm totally fine with it. I just need you to write the number in front. So this is going to become your coefficient for pi. So you're going to write it like this, 9 pi feet squared. And that's really all you need to have. If you wanted to, you could do 9 times pi and you're going to get, let me see, you're going to get 28.3333 something up. So I would prefer no decimals, but you can write it in decimal form if you want to, okay? Let's skip down to number 3. So example number 3, we're given our radius, which is good. So we're going to do pi times 8.75 squared. And when you do 8.75 squared, you're going to get 76.6. So if you want to write it like this, 76.6 pi yards squared, that is totally fine with me. If you want to calculate the decimal, you can do that too. Okay? All right, example number 5 is a little misleading, and you have to be careful. Remember I said I'd always write diameter, the whole distance across. I'd always write it smack dab in the middle. This one has a whole line going across, but it's only giving you this part of that line. So this is actually the radius, so don't be fooled if you see a full line across, okay? So we're going to do pi 4 squared. And 4 squared is 16, so your answer is going to be 16 pi meters squared. Okay? All right, we're going to do example number 2 together. Skipped around a little bit. This is what I'm talking about. This is going to be your diameter, if it's written in the middle like that. So your job is going to be to find the radius, because that's what you need for your formula. So what you're going to do is you're going to divide this number by 2, and the radius is going to be 3.75. So if the whole distance across is 7.5, halfway across is going to be 3.75. Okay? So now we can plug that into our formula, pi 3.75 squared, and that would give you 14.1 pi inches squared. Got it? All right, go ahead and try example 4 on your own. Remember, you have to find that radius first. And I'm actually gonna have you guys try example 6 too at the very end. If you want to, you can try example 7, but you don't need to, okay? I want to talk a little bit about perimeter before we run out of time here. So perimeter, let's go back and look at, let's do example 1 here. We found the area. Now let's use our perimeter formula to find the perimeter of that shape. So over here, I'm going to try to do the perimeter. What's the distance around the circle? So what you're going to do is you're going to do 2 times pi times the radius. And remember I said you can keep pi in there. Same thing with perimeter. So what you can do is just multiply 2 times 3, which would give you 6, and you can just leave it as 6 pi. And that's all you really need to do. So 6 pi feet. That's the distance around the shape. Okay? Okay, so we did area and perimeter. Now you guys are all up to speed on every shape that you're going to need to find the area and perimeter of. All right? See you later.